Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media, LLC. There is always a means to create change, and it always begins with imagination. How will you grow or start your business? Walt Disney is quoted to have said, "The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing." Just Minding My Business Media is about the doing. Become known for your products or services on JMMB Radio Podcast, heard in over 200 countries, or if you're ready to take the leap, move to Mindset Movers TV as a host or series producer, broadcasting to the combined audience of Roku and Fire TV. Let's move in the right direction together. Contact us at jmmbradio@gmail.com. Your value will be not what you know, it will be what you share. Ginny Romity. Today we welcome Jewel Tankard, who is an economist turned financial powerhouse and is taking the world by storm. As a serial network marketer, she has grossed over $5 million and empowered over 250,000 people in her robust organizations. She has created a global reputation for creating multiple six to seven figure earners with her success strategies. Committed to helping women create wealth, Jewel created the Millionaires Club and the Pink Hard Hat Real Estate Investment Club with over 400 members across 10 countries. The club empowers women to trust their financial gut, improves their confidence, gives them cash creation and wealth growing strategies, and introduces them to modern investment tools. Jewel was thrust into mainstream media as the matriarch of Bravo's hit reality show, Thicker Than Water, The Tankards, and is a current star of AT&T's Chatter, making her a superstar in both the business and entertainment industries. The wife of gospel jazz legend Ben Tankard, Jewel also pastors the Destiny Center alongside her husband, and has 5 children. Welcome, Jewel.
Yeah.
Hi, welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so excited and honored to have you on our platform and looking forward to all the jewels and gems you're going to drop on us.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm excited.
Absolutely. So, how did you get on this journey? I always like beginnings because it gives me a insight of how you arrived to where you are today.
Yeah, for sure. So, born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, love Detroit. And I come from a family of entrepreneurs. And my parents, I saw, they were like the first mentor, power couple that I had. And I saw them work really diligently. They were big in the music industry for years. And as a result of that, we lived a pretty amazing life. I really thought we were wealthy. We had, his and her Rolls Royces, his and her Mercedes. I had a Volvo at 16. We lived in beautiful homes and went to some of the best private schools in the area and in some cases a nation. And that was my life. And then at 19, when I was 19 years old, we lost everything. And I was devastated because I thought we were rich. And I remember, asking my mom questions like, hey, do we have any money like invested? Do we have anything paid off? And her answers to everything was pretty much, your father said this, your father wanted to do this. And so that's when I quickly began to learn that she did not trust her financial instinct. And then I went from there to trying to recreate this lifestyle that I had become accustomed to living, to dating drug dealers. And it was fun, child, for a while. Until they started getting indicted and in some cases, being killed. And that was devastating. And then I remember going to church, giving my life to the Lord, And I said, okay, I went from my dad taking care of me to men taking care of me. Like, why can't I take care of myself? And that's what really kind of led me on the financial journey of wanting to understand wealth patterns, wealth rhythms, how wealth work, because I never wanted to experience that kind of devastation again. My parents are depressed, I was depressed. It was not a good time. But I will say that it really awakened a giant, a fighter on the inside of me that I had no idea was in me at the time, because I had never worked before then.
Yes, and it's so funny how situations change everything, because going through that and having to making a promise to yourself that I never want to be in this boat again. So let's talk a little bit about Christianity and business, because I know for me, the Lord is my CEO. I can't do nothing without him. Every day is, what are we going to do, Lord?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
what's your thoughts on that? And
So yeah, I mean, I think that I think for a long time, a lot of believers kind of separated. It was like, okay, I'm spiritual, but didn't really tap into the natural application of work. That it can't just be, okay, I pray to the Lord and then I'm waiting on him. And I've heard that a lot over the years. I'm just waiting on the Lord. I'm waiting. It's like he didn't did everything he's gonna do. So there's another scripture that talks about the hand of the diligent shall bear rule. And another scripture that talks about study to show yourself approved. I think he meant study the word of God, but also study your area of specialty. Study the industry that you've been called to, so that you would be able to arise to the top of that field. And so I think that as believers at large, maybe there hasn't been enough understanding of that. I have to also study. I also have to work. And then I got to put it in, which is why you see people that are unbelievers that soar and, accumulate great amounts of wealth and influence in some cases, but they also probably really studied their craft. They really, really, really got into their industry, and they were open to expand and grow. I think sometimes Christians think that, in order for me to do business, then, I'm only going to do business with Christians, but I do business with anyone. I prayed for one of my leaders on my team. She is a Muslim, and I prayed for her in Jesus' name, So, and I love her, and she's a Muslim, and then I'm sure I have atheists that I work with, or Buddhists that I work with, or people that worship the universe. I mean, I pray my life would minister to them and that they would give their life to Jesus. But, I think that as Christians, we got to understand we're not like in this club isolated from everyone else, because there's a lot of things that I can learn from people in other nationalities and other religions. And prayerfully, my life will speak and they'll end up giving their life to the Lord. But I have to at least be open and do business with all kinds of people.
absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly, because you just don't know where your next blessing is going to come from.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, being a woman in business, how's that been for you?
It's been fun. It's fun. I think, all the spaces that I've been in, whether it was gold or silver or real estate or now cryptocurrency, there's been a lot of men, a lot of male dominance in these industries. And I can understand why, because as women, we take on a lot more of the domestic responsibility, making sure the dinner is cooked, the breakfast is cooked, grocery shopping, the kids are taken care of, they get their bath, they, read them a story, bedtime. I think women have a lot of responsibility domestically, a lot of times that kind of stops them from going and thriving in these industries. But, I tell people, like I told all the time, when our children were younger, we definitely had some meetings where they told us, hey, we need more of your time. We want to spend more time with you. And we were really, workaholics, traveling, and my husband touring with him as a jazz artist. And in some of those cases, we did have to make some adjustments and say, okay, let's make sure that we make Sunday really family time, or, let's pick up on our vacations, because there were years when we got married where we weren't doing family vacation because we were in so much debt. and we just needed to get out of debt. And now, though, I will tell you that all of our children at different times tell us thank you. My son stopped and told me today, I could go through my family chat and you'll see them saying, thank you guys for working so hard, because now they're benefactors of the fruit of our labor. And it wasn't easy, because there were times that we felt like we might need to pull back. But if we pull back and just became, you know, like, 9 to 5ers, we would not have the life that we have today, being able to assist them and help them the way that we do. And a lot of the assistance comes down to finances.
Oh yeah, at the end of the day, it's all about the Benjamins.
So I think when they're really young, they want time, which is important to give them that time. But I think focusing on quality, and I learned that from my parents, we had quality time. My parents worked a lot of hours, but I never resented it, because I think I felt like, I don't know, I understood why they were working so much. So I said all that to say that being a woman in business, I think you have to understand that those are maybe some of the challenges or things that you'll go through. But I think the more conversations you can have with them, the more you communicate with them why I'm doing this. And then when they can go out and then experience, the fruit of your labor, then it's like it makes it worth it, especially now because they got social media. So it's super important for kids to feel like they can have the nicest shoes or clothes, or like that stuff is really, really important to them. And if you're broke, you just can't do it. And the last thing I'll say to that, I would want to encourage any woman watching, like, set goals for yourself to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to really make sure that, next month I'm gonna bring in a housekeeper once a month or once a week, or maybe every day, depending on what you have going on, or I'm going to bring in a personal assistant, or maybe bringing in a cook, just realizing you don't have to do it all. The reality is I wouldn't be nearly as successful as I am today without a team. So I am a huge, huge proponent of women starting where you are, but start, because you just cannot do everything on your own and then still have a family. It gets to be a lot.
Yes, it does, and it leads to burnout
Yeah,
and health
exactly.
issues and some more.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
So let's talk about investing.
Mhm.
Okay, I started doing the crypto space.
Good
Uh,
job.
Mhm.
Good job.
and when it first was presented to me, it was like foreign, to say the
Yeah,
least. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And I went to YouTube University
yeah,
and just started going through the videos, how it started, what it is, all of that kind of stuff.
yeah,
And I set a budget because I'm still learning. So I don't want to put gobs and gobs of money, and I'm still a babe, so to speak. So let's talk a little bit about investing with the ladies, because I think that's critical as well. Especially when you get in the space where you're making all of this money, you
mhm.
need to have your money different places. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely, absolutely. And I would say, don't feel like you have to wait till you have a lot of money. Start at $10 a week. I can think we had a couple of our children that started doing Bitcoin $10 a week a couple years ago, and now they, both have 5-figure accounts. So you can start where you are. You can start with Ethereum at $20 a week or $100 a week or whatever you can afford. But I think the bigger thing is, and I want to commend you too, Ida, that started watching YouTube videos. But I will tell you this, if you're serious about really getting into investing and becoming wealthy in it, because it's a difference between staying a beginner, an infant investor, and then eventually, hopefully, you become an intermediate investor, and then eventually, hopefully, you become an advanced investor where you can actually start to live off of the interest of your investments. But it takes real education. It takes a community. Wealth. One thing about the wealthy is I've learned is that the wealthy is just a big game of playing follow the leader. I became wealthy because I just started following the leader. During the day in my backdrop, I'm listening to Bitcoin billionaires in the background. I've turned on some music sometimes. I'm working some jazz, but for the most part, I'm picking up a phrase here, picking up there. I'm listening to something educational. And that is within my community. Those are my wealth mentors. So I would suggest for anybody that's serious about really becoming an investor, get involved in a community like what we have. It's really strong. We're teaching people about the metaverse in terms of, Mark Zuckerberg announced a couple months ago that Facebook was going to now be called metaverse. You can get in there and buy digital property. You can do digital marketing. You can, buy a condo and customize the condo. I'm a co-owner in the virtual casino there because I bought something called a gambling ape. Like, I want to know nothing about buying property in the metaverse. I want to know anything about being a co-owner in, a virtual casino. I wouldn't have even known it existed, but it's because of the community that I'm in and the education that I'm getting on an ongoing basis. And so I think that, in order to really become a savvy investor, I recommend becoming a savvy investor in crypto. It is the fastest growing asset in the last decade. So, but if you're going to really dominate that space, you got to get in there so you can have those conversations, you can ask those questions, and you can even know that this stuff exists. Because like I said, had I not been in this community, I wouldn't have known what to research. I wouldn't have known even what YouTube video to watch. Most people are in the infancy of investing, and that's fine, but you don't want to stay an infant because infants can't eat off of the meat. All they can do is drink the milk. So you really want to put yourself in a position where you can really start to expand your wealth portfolio. And that's going to happen through education and the right relationships and the right connections and the right community.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So you're Millionaires Club.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that. How does one get involved with that?
So I started the Millionaires Club several years ago, and it just started off, honestly, Ruth, is just like a book club. I had this passion where I wanted to see more women take risk. I wanted to see more women take make financial decisions. I noticed even today, and it doesn't matter like if you're a boomer or a millennial, I still talk to a lot of women today that are like, well, my husband said, I shouldn't learn about crypto, or he said, we're not going to do this right now. I'm like, what do you mean we? You have your own brain, girl. Like, you don't need him to educate himself for you to educate yourself. And if he does, then that's like bondage. Like, my husband didn't want to do any of this for the first 4 years I was involved. And he got involved in May 2020, and now he's killing the markets. But what if I wouldn't have done it? I mean, I think that we have to really make sure that we're independent thinkers. I see a lot of that in women in particularly. And I know it's because we haven't, as children, we've been cultivated to, oh, what are you cooking tonight? Or, are you going to put little Bobby in sports? We haven't really had a lot of conversations about understanding the deal points of a contract or growing our money or having independent wealth. So I started the club because I wanted to talk to women about, trusting their financial instinct and really starting to grow their wealth portfolio. Whether their husband was interested or not, that shouldn't matter. They have their own individuality and they should have their own brains to make their own decisions, especially when it comes to education. I mean, I understand if you are thinking about, which I do, I buy properties. I didn't need my husband's permission because I have my own money, but I understand the average woman is not in that position. But, we're just talking about educating yourself at this point. So I started the club. So anything that I'm doing, I teach the women. Everything from, how to accumulate silver and gold every month to maybe how to invest in oil, how to invest in cryptocurrency, how to, negotiate deals, how to build a family brand and include your family and your husband so that they don't feel like your success is a separation or isolation from you, but they understand that they're benefactors of it. So the club is really for any woman who's serious about saying, hey, I'm really ready to grow, like for real. You got to be around overachievers. Overachievers think differently. They do. And so the club is for that women. So they can get on jeweltankard.com, and it's just $29 a month because I wanted the average woman to be able to get in here and really, really grow and really learn.
Wow. And that's very, very affordable. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. We definitely need to learn about investing because a lot of us have businesses, and that's what we had, that business. But once we start making money, we should be spreading out into other commodities and make more money, so to speak, and have more than one thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
And also just being and investing and having a business, we want to be able to run our business with and create our own capital if need be, rather than depending on somebody else to provide capital at some outrageous interest rate or with so many strings attached. And this is an area that we haven't thought about a lot as women, that we do have that right and that ability. We have brains. Before we got married or whatever attachments we've had, we were born with brains. And as you were talking about Christianity and business, and now hearing you talk about the Millionaires Club, there's also a whole chapter, almost about a half of a chapter in the Bible that talks about the capable wife. And she sees good land and she goes out and purchases it. And her husband and family rejoice. So it's not about um, acting as if we're brainless. We really do have to grab hold of the fact that we too are created by God, evidently the God that created all humans and women is hyper super intelligent. We have that within us. So why is it that we deny that and we go hide in the corner and we come out with the macaroni and cheese? You know, like it's kind of a crazy concept, but it is where so many women have lived all their lives. So I appreciate what you're talking about.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate the fact that you created this opportunity at a cost that most women can afford.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And knowledge is like huge. You
Yeah.
know, it's really huge. And I mean, I've looked at some programs, and it was way more than $29 a month.
Oh heavens, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Way more. So I'm definitely interested in that, and I will definitely look into that. So let's talk about your book, The
Yeah.
Mind of a Millionaire.
It's right here. It's right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, y'all gotta buy it. Go to Barnes and Noble or Amazon.com and pick it up. But yeah, that's my baby right there. I really was again endeavoring to help women to kind of become, thinkers because we're brilliant. Like most women are really brilliant, but they just
Yes,
don't know
yeah.
they're brilliant yet.
Hmm.
And so I talk about, the discipline that's required, the emotional intelligence, because that's what stops a lot of women too, is because sometimes you get in your feelings and maybe your business is not working the way that you need it to work. And so you pull back. I'm like, no, don't pull back, sis. Like lean in, ask some questions, figure out like, why did this work like I thought it should? Or maybe I need to pivot a little bit here. There's always an answer. And then I talk about, like we talked about the whole including your marriage in there. And then just growing in responsibility. Like every level requires new responsibilities. When I was going from 1M to 5M to 5M to 10M, I had to bring on a whole new accounting firm because the accounting firm that could manage me at 2.5 a year could not manage me at 10 a year. And so knowing that a lot of times when you're starting to scale your current team, everybody on that team may not be able to scale, you know what I mean? And they may be great people, but then you got to know and say, okay, it doesn't mean that I have to necessarily get rid of them, but now it's time to add on to the team, because if I'm going to expand and grow, I'm going to have to bring on some people because there is just too much that I don't know, whether it's about the accounting or the infrastructure or IT or innovation or, there's so many different aspects a business that you just got to be willing to bring on that team. And so I go into a lot of detail about all of those things. And we've been getting great, great reviews. I'm really grateful. And it's been good. It's been good. So go out and make sure you buy it. And it's a great book to grab and say, okay, I'm going to do a book club with this.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yes, I love the title, The Mind of a Millionaire, because, with the ladies, I have an organization, and I always talk about the millionaire mindset. You got to learn how to get that.
Yeah, and it's a continual thing. Like I work on myself every day.
Yes.
Unlearning, relearning, unlearning, relearning.
Yes.
Yes.
Unlearning is a big part of it because we've been taught so many things that aren't correct. Our
Exactly.
thinking has been messed up from the get-go, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so for many women, it's a lot of unlearning. And I found that in other areas of my life too.
Yeah.
Unlearning is really what it's about. So I can put in something new.
Yeah.
Yes. And yes, and having this opportunity to speak with people like yourself is really power because it helps us to undo as
Hmm.
women. If I mean, we see you, we see your accomplishments, we do the same thing.
That's right. That's exactly right. You can come show me some stuff. Listen, I
There's
am
a
teaching.
wealth of information amongst ourselves. There is a wealth
Oh,
of
yeah.
information amongst women because we've learned over the years what not to do. And then I think part of the learning process is that you become aware of how much you don't know and become willing to open up your ears and say, okay, well, let me see what else I can learn. Maybe there's a different way of doing this.
Yes.
And when we exchange that information, yeah, it becomes very powerful, very
Yes.
powerful. And it's
Yeah.
about empowering each other. But one thing I just want to interject this. We can look at what you've accomplished and we can be empowered by your work, by your speech, by your book, by your life. But each one of us has to work on self empowerment. And we can't do that until we're really willing to look and see who we are
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
an individual level. Then I can look at your empowerment and say, oh, like Ida said, I can do this too. I can.
Hmm.
It's very possible. There's no
Hmm.
reason why I can't. And if
Hmm.
there is a reason why I can't, then I need to look at that,
Yeah.
see what I can do to move that obstacle out of the way. But
Yeah.
self
Absolutely.
empowerment has to almost come before we can be empowered by anyone else.
Yeah. 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 No, I mean, I think that you just realize, hey, I got to work on myself, every day. I need to be listening something, reading something.
Mhm.
And I think once we realize, people say, oh, you're a wealth expert. I'm like, I'm a student expert. Like I'm forever learning and growing and changing and pivoting. And so I think if you take on that mindset, you'll be great. You'll be great because you'll be forever evolving. I think a lot of people stop growing. It's like Netflix came to, Blockbuster and said, hey, we want to partner with you guys. We're going to be doing something new in the industry. It's going to be digital shows and movies. And they're like, oh, no, we're the biggest and the baddest. Now where are they at?
Right.
Antiquated, out of business because they didn't pivot and shift. So I think we all have to keep a mindset that I got to keep growing and keep learning because everything is changing and it's going to keep changing. So I don't want to overanalyze and procrastinate. I think a lot of times traditionally we've learned like, let me get more information, then I'll make the decision. No, make the decision and then learn.
Right.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I
Yeah.
agree. Say yes and then learn because
Yeah.
then you committed.
Then you're
Mhm.
committed. Then you're committed. So yeah,
Yeah.
and I appreciate what you all are doing. And thank you for having me on here. I want to encourage everybody to go out and get the book, The Mind of a Millionaires. They can go to Barnes and Noble or Amazon.com, and let's grow and learn together. And of course, people can follow me on Jewel Tankard. Everything is Jewel Tankard. Instagram, TikTok. Snapchat, Facebook, YouTube. And then, of course, if they want to join the club, they can get on jeweltankard.com.
Okay.
Sure.
Yes. I'm
Thank
definitely going to join the club.
Yay! Yay!
Absolutely. So I have one other question.
Mhm.
Strategies. What is the biggest one that a business owner can put into place?
I think probably to tell themselves too, as much as you want to grow your business, I want you to grow your business. I want your business to turn into, the next Silicon Valley. I want you to really understand money because a lot of entrepreneurs never become wealthy because there's not enough of focus on cash flow, investing, and putting yourself in a position to eventually live off of the interest of your investment. So, and then whatever your business ideal you do have, make sure that digital is a huge component of that, and that you bring on other people in the digital world. I would not hire a personal assistant that doesn't know how to use the computer, or that doesn't understand how TikToks work or Reels work. I'm going to bring people on that are relevant to the culture and relevant to the times, because you cannot, if your entire team is waiting for you to give them the next play, you're in trouble. You need a team that's already ahead. Like, okay, we need to do this. They need to be telling you what to do. And not you just telling them what to do. So make sure that you get people that are futurists and forward thinkers and very much into what's happening and where we're going.
Okay.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. So we've heard a lot about the book. I can't wait to get it. For sure, because I'm all about that millionaire mindset, because I feel like once you have that, it's just doing the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all about just doing the work.
Exactly.
But you have to think it first. You have
Yeah.
to, like the Bible said, you have to claim it.
Yeah.
You have to already be there in order for it to manifest. So we are so grateful for the nuggets that you have shared with us tonight and with our audience. And we're definitely looking for more collaborations. And I will be joining your club.
Yay! I'm excited.
And getting the book, because I feel like the more we understand money, the better off we're going to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, ladies, I thank you guys for what you're doing. Thank you for having me. And I look forward to you joining the club.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We are definitely looking forward to continuing to collaborate with you.
All right. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.